Okay, guys, let's start off on a seated, comfortable position. So you can either be on a pillow, a blanket, a block. I'm going to be on a block. So take your time. And you can either cross your legs, and the idea would be to have your hips a little bit higher than your knees, and that makes it a little bit more comfortable. Or you can sort of sit on your, another way, go ahead and sit on your bottom with your knees down. So whatever you find that's comfortable. Okay, so I'm still, I see, I'm still recovering here, so, okay, sorry. Okay, there we go. So let's close our eyes and bring length into our spine. And then begin to use our breath to sort of rinse our body of anything that shouldn't be there. It's amazing how cluttered your mind and your body can be with things, and you focus on injuries, and that makes them hurt more because you're thinking about them. You tense up, your posture is not good, your mind's busy thinking. Just use your breath to rinse all that out. So start taking from shallow to deeper breaths. And as you're doing that, slowly with little micro movements, lengthen your spine. Tilt your chin towards your chest just a little bit, bringing the crown of your head up. Pulling your belly button in just a little bit. So you feel strong. You bring your shoulders back. And you can either breathe in and out through your mouth, if that feels restorative, or if you want a little bit more vitality, breathe through your nose. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your nose. Sort of helps build the fire in the back of your throat and your belly. It's called sort of the fire breath, vitality breath. So begin to lengthen those inhales and lengthen those exhales. As you're doing that, think about how your body is feeling. As you inhale, noticing your chest is expanding. And if you're really relaxed, your belly will sort of come out. So even though you're pulling your belly in a little bit, so you're active there. When you breathe, you sort of relax that belly because that diaphragm is descending. And then maybe with every breath, you just a millimeter higher, you bring the crown of your head a little bit higher, almost as if you're floating. Begin to imagine yourself floating. Now with your next inhale, shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. And then make big circles with your shoulders. And then try to work with your breath. And find yourself in a neutral position. Then in a seated pose, okay, imagine yourself doing 3 or 4 cat-cows. So as you inhale, you're going to gaze up, bring your chest out, press your shoulder blades into your spine, look up, open your throat. And as you exhale, you're going to bring the shoulders forward, and you're going to suck your belly button in and bring your chin towards your chest. Oh. So you're going to do that, and then just sort of start to exaggerate that a little bit more and more. So as you open up, feel like you're receiving, and as you're closing in and you're exhaling, feel like you're coming in, maybe in a protective mode, and then you open up again. And we're just bringing some mobility into our spine. And then find yourself back in your neutral position, spine long. Inhale your hands up above your head. Bring your hands together, almost like you're going to clap. And then inhale, reach. And then exhale, big circles with your arms. Pretend your hands are paddles, your fingers are wide, spread wide open, and you're going to bring them behind you. And then you bring them in front of you. And then you bring them back up towards the ceiling. As you inhale, exhale, big circles. Inhale, reach, one more big circle. Bring your hands to heart center. Soften the features in your face. Open your heart to all the possibilities. The seasons are changing. None of us knows really what's in store, but there's definitely change. And we're just going to open ourselves up to the possibilities. One more inhale as you reach your hands up. And then this time as you exhale, bend towards the right. Planting your hips as you exhale that last breath. And then inhale, bring your hands up towards the ceiling. And then exhaling to bend towards the left. One more inhale, up, hands up. And then exhale, bring your hands to your thighs or your knees. And then slowly bring your chest towards the floor, using your hand as support. If you can fold forward all the way, then just fold forward all the way. If you need support here, you'll be like in a seated tabletop. Whatever feels good. And rest your head on your hands, or just rest your hands on your knees as you're leaning forward. Slowly rise up, walk your hands back, keeping your eyes closed all the time. Inhale those hands up one more time. And this time, exhale as you twist towards the left. So you're just going to bring your arms behind you. I'm bringing my right hand over my left thigh. You can plant the right hand behind you. Bring your gaze towards your back. And then slowly release, inhaling your arms up towards the ceiling. And then gentle exhale, twist to the right. And then slowly come back to center. Then everybody find yourself in a tabletop. So if you have sore knees, you might want to put a little blanket, a cushion under your knees. And let's find ourselves in our tabletop. So we're going to have an opportunity. Penny, I know you might be new to some of these words. So cat-cow is sort of a common, two common poses in yoga. So you're in tabletop, so your shoulders are over your wrists and your hips are over your knees. And you can either be on the tops of your feet or you can tuck your toes. And then try not to sag, so try not to hyperextend your back. So try to be neutral. And so you pull your belly button in just a little bit. So even when you're in a neutral position, your neck is neutral. Your gaze is not too forward. Your gaze is straight down. And your belly button's tucked in just a little bit. And then when we inhale, we're going to bring our rear end back and gaze up. And then now we're going to feel that extension on the lower back. And then as we exhale, we tuck our chin into our chest. We round off the top of our back, sucking in our belly button. And then in your gaze, in between your knees. And then release, inhaling back up for a cow. And then exhaling cat. Inhaling cow. Oh. Exhaling. And then each time, try to do a little bit more. Pull that belly button more. Let your head hang more. Maybe bring your gaze up more. So do a couple more of these. Good. And find yourself back in a neutral position. Now we're back in a neutral position. Now we're going to make big circles with our hips. So you can slowly, and ideally you'd work with your breath. So you're going to, as you inhale, you'll be working in one direction. And as you exhale in the other direction. So you're really trying to have your breath lead you, not my words. Good. And now switch directions. Good. And come back to neutral. Now we're going to do what's called a bird dog, but all that means is we're gonna do a modified. Cristy will do the modified. She has her hand on a block, okay, and then she's going to lift the other hand, okay, and then the opposite leg if she chooses. She's keeping that foot down on the mat, or you can lift both legs. I mean, lift your leg. And when those that are lifting the leg, no, not but yeah, that'd be really good. Although some people can do that. So when you do lift your leg, keep your foot flexed. So it should be at 90 degrees. Okay, so you're real active in that leg. Okay, so this is full expression. Cristy's doing modified with one hand on the block. It's giving her support. Okay, lifting her up a little bit, and then she's using the floor to support. Okay, and then come back down. We have two sides, so we always have the opportunity to do things on both sides in yoga. We always want to do that because we want to be symmetric as much as possible. So let's work on the other side. Bird dog on the other side. I'm doing full expression. I'm lifting my leg, extending my hand. And then when we're up, or what, even if you're down, you want to extend. So you want to bring length to everything. So you want to press that leg back and that arm forward like someone's pulling on you. You're bringing length and come back down and then rest. A couple more big circles. And we're going to have the opportunity to do that again. And then this time, since we know what we're going to be doing, try to maybe do something just a little bit more. We're in neutral position. And as you inhale, extending the right arm out, left foot back. Or as Cristy has it, she has a block under her left hand, and as she extends the right arm out, and she's supporting her foot on the floor. So maybe this time you watch that you don't tend to sink into that hip. So you move forward so you're not sagging back. It's easy to sag back. So shift forward just a little bit. You'll realize it's a little bit harder. And then come back down. Take a couple cat cows here. We'll do that one more time on the other side. Finding yourself back in neutral, extending the left arm and right leg, shifting the weight over the right hand, a little bit forward, lifting the leg just a little bit higher, flexing the back foot, pushing the mat away. Gaze is straight down. Breathe, lift, and come back down. Good. Now bring your knees to the outer edge of your mat. You can tuck a block under your hips and then shift back to a child's pose. Child's pose is a restorative pose. It's your safe place to be. And so if you need to place one block, a pillow, a blanket in between your legs, whatever is comfortable, it's meant to be restorative. And just breathe. Maybe walk your fingers. I have my fingers spread open. If you want to be a little bit more active in this pose, you would press your fingers into the mat. Inching those fingers forward just a little bit. Letting your hips sink. Let's pretend our fingers are little spiders. Inhale, crawl forward. And exhale. Inhale, bring those little fingers to the right. So you're going to do a little, so your hips stay planted, but you're just walking your hands and your fingers towards the right, and you'll feel a nice stretch right underneath your armpits. That's where it's intended to be. Good. Walk those little fingers back to the center. Inhaling a little bit forward, and then exhaling, walking them to the left.
Walking those fingers back to the center. And then walk your hands maybe one hand's length in, and then lift up just a little bit. And then slide your right hand underneath your left armpit and let your right cheek rest on the mat. Christy's resting her head on the block. And so this is meant to be a shoulder stretch. And so if you bring length to your left hand, walk it forward, rest your cheek on the block or on the mat, you should feel a nice stretch along that rotator cuff. Good. Now walk your hands up, slowly rise up. And then reach forward. And then walking those hands back, lifting up. And then do the other side. Left arm underneath right armpit, left cheek on the block or on the mat. Your left palm is facing towards the ceiling. Your gaze is towards your left hand. Reach forward with your right. And then slowly rise up. Again, walking forward. Your hands forward. Good. And then slowly rise up to a tabletop, okay? And what we're going to do here is we're going to move, for those that can move directly from tabletop to plank, you can move it from tabletop to plank to downward dog. So we'll do that, or we'll do modified. So Cristy will do the modified plank. So the idea for plank is that you're going to try to, so tabletop, everything, you're like a square. Modified plank, you're going to just walk your knees back a little bit, okay? So they're back. So your core is more active. And so this is a little bit harder. So that's modified plank. Okay, and then full plank, for those of us that know it, you're actually on your toes and your heels are over the balls of your feet. You're sucking your belly button in and you're shifting your weight forward, okay? So everybody, come bring your knees down. We'll just do that a couple times and then we'll move into downward dog or modified downward dog. So Nicole, for your shoulder, you probably want to shorten your dog or just that's probably what I would do, or just really bend your knees so you don't have a lot of weight on your shoulders. So from tabletop, move into plank or modified plank. Cristy's doing modified plank, I'm doing plank. Pulling your belly button in. Taking a couple breaths here. And then pushing back into your downward dog. So in downward dog, your hips are hip distance apart. You can soften your knees as much as you need to. Walk your hands in as much as you need to for support. You want to keep the lower back flat or keep the natural curvature. You want to press your shoulder blades into your spine. Your head is hanging. So let your head just hang. And as you're like pushing that mat away from your feet, your hands are just stretching that mat. And as you inhale, you're lifting those hips. And as you exhale, you're going to feel it in your calves because you're bringing those heels down. So this does a lot of things. It's an inversion pose. We feel strength in our shoulders. We feel a stretch all the way behind our legs. So pedal out that downward dog. Good. But pardon me? Oh, yeah, Penny, Christy's showing me how she's putting her hands on a block. So you can get some height in downward dog if this is hard. Again, you can soften your knees and bring your hands in, or they can be up higher on the block. So that's what Christy's doing. She's got a little bit of support. And then drop back down to tabletop. Now we're going to move through our warrior series, but we're going to start on modified. And for those that already are comfortable and don't need to do modified, then do full expression. Christy's, I guess I could do full expression while Cristy does the modified. No, we're all going to do modified first. Let's just all do modified first. So we're in tabletop. And we're going to step our right foot next to our right hand, and we're going to rise up to warrior one. So warrior one, everything's facing forward. Feet are facing forward. Front foot is facing forward. Back foot obviously is facing backwards. Hips are forward. Gaze is forward. Shoulders are forward. Chin is forward. Everything's forward. Okay, that's warrior one. Okay. And then from here, we can open up to a warrior two. Now everything's facing side. So you're opening up to the side. So it's like a twist. And then your gaze will be forward. So everything's open to the side. And the idea here is that your hips are coming to the side, but you're keeping that front knee. As you're opening up to the side, that front knee wants to come in, and we're trying to push it out. And then we can do what's called reverse your warrior, where your back hand goes along your back leg or thigh, and then you gazes up, and then it's like a stretch. And then we come back to warrior two. And then we come back, bring our hands down to the mat. And so when you're doing the whole flow, it's called the Vinyasa. Your hands are planted on the mat. And then right now we'll just go back to tabletop. And then we can go to downward dog. Your modified downward dog. Dropping to our knees. So now we're all going to do modified, and then we can do full expression. Stepping the left foot next to the left hand. And then rising up. Warrior one, now on the left. Gaze is up, reach up. So we're always bringing length to our spine. And then now exhale as you open up to warrior two. Modify. And then dropping that back arm over that back thigh and reversing. So it's like a stretch. Okay, don't fall over. And then come back to warrior two. And then windmill those hands back down onto the mat, taking our tabletop, or taking a plank or modified plank, and then shifting to downward dog. So that was the modified. And then now, Cristy's going to continue with modified, and I'm going to do the full expression. So now we're in downward dog. We're going to inhale right leg up, and then step it forward. Okay, now we twist our back foot to 45 degrees. Cristy's on her knees, and we open up to warrior one. And then exhale, warrior two. Good, so your back foot now in warrior two goes from 45 to parallel to the edge of the mat. So it's sort of shifted back, and ideally your knees over your ankle. And again, you're trying to square your hips, but you're constantly working that hip in, but you're that knee out. And then we reverse. And then we windmill our hands down, taking plank, modified plank or tabletop. I'm taking plank, Cristy's taking modified plank, and then shifting to downward dog. So downward dog is sort of like our transition pause pose. And we're going slow with these transitions. Inhaling the other side, the left leg up, and then slowly stepping it forward. Pivoting the back foot to 45 degrees. And then opening up to warrior one.
Penny, good job.
I can't see, I don't have my glasses, but fortunately Cristy's telling me everyone's doing a good job. I'm like blind. Inhaling those hands up, and then exhale, open up to two. Good job, everybody. Okay, and then let's reverse that. And then come back down, windmill those hands down. You're in a plank, modified plank, or tabletop. Good job. Everybody, good job. And then shift back to downward dog. Okay, that was good. And now what we'll do is we're going to walk our feet towards our hands. Just walk, 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 walk. And now we can start bringing a lot of length because we're going to be standing a little bit before we go back down to the mat. And let yourself hang. Soften your knees. My feet are about hip distance apart. And I'm just shifting around my weight. You can grab opposite hand, opposite elbow. This is called ragdoll. And just slowly twist. And again, you can soften your knees as much as you need to, or you can support yourself. The idea is to keep this is supposed to be restorative for your back. So you're not really stretching anything in particular, but you're trying to be restorative to your back. And so if right now I'm just resting my hands on my knees and I'm just letting all the weight, our back and our vertebral column has all that weight during the day when we're standing. And I'm right now just letting that go to my leg. It's restorative. So, or fold forward and then just rock back and forth. Now put your hands on a block or the mat. I'm going to use a block. Christy's using a block. And you're going to straighten the right leg out. So the right leg becomes straight. Big bend in the left. So you're cocking that right hip back. And then you're opening up to the right. And reaching up and looking up. And then bring length, lift up. Pretend like someone's lifting your hand up. And then fold forward. Good. Putting your right hand on the block. Straighten out the left leg. Big bend in the right. And then opening up to the left. Cocking that left hip back. Gaze is up. So try to bring your gaze. So you're also working on twisting, bringing torsion to your neck. So, and then release. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to toe heel your feet together. So your knees are bent and you're toe heeling your feet together. So your toes are almost touching. Okay. Now, big bend in everybody's knees. So our back is actually flat. And we're going to push off from our heels and then rise up. This is mountain pose. Okay, so mountain pose is just hands by your side, your palms beaming out, okay? And then you feel rooted in your feet. You're all four corners of your feet. You pull your belly button in just a little bit so you tilt your hips up. So you're squeezing your glutes a little bit. So squeeze your glutes a little bit, lifting up. You're pressing your shoulder blades into your spine. So we're doing all these little motions. And then we're bringing the crown of our head up. I have my eyes closed. And then I'm going to imagine that someone's trying to pull me from the crown of my head. I'm going to bring in length. And then we're going to inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring those big circles if you want, or just bring those hands right beside you. Now, for those with shoulder problems, I'm just going to do a couple things here for our strength of our shoulders. So you can either bring your, you can do modified if this is too much, if you extend your hands. But we're going to inhale our hands outward, okay, as we open our chest. And if it's too much on the shoulders, then you just bring your hands into your chest and you just have your elbows out. And that's not quite as hard. So you can just have this or this, okay? And then inhale those arms up. And then extend those hands to the side. You're in a T. My palms are facing down. Inhale those hands up. This time, bring your hands in front of you, okay? In front of you, bringing them parallel to the ground. So now my palms are facing down. And again, if this is too much, then you bring your hands in. Just have your elbows out. Inhale those hands up. Exhale, come back to a T. Press your shoulder blades against each other. Open your chest. Lift your hands up just a little bit more. Lift those arms up. Don't let them sag. Inhale up. Exhale, hands, arms in front of you, palms down. Squeeze your glutes. Lift your arms. Soften the features in your face. Inhale those arms up.
Exhale those hands to heart center. Inhale those arms up and then fold forward. Oh my goodness.
And then now inhale, bringing your hands on your shin and do what's called a halfway lift. And so Cristy has her hands on a block. I have my hands on my shin. The idea is that your back is flat. You're like a tray. And your neck is neutral. And you're really bringing the crown of your head forward. Okay? And this is called a halfway lift. And then fold forward. Inhale those arms up. And then bring them to heart center, everybody. And then we'll just do 2 balance poses. Okay? And so Cristy will do tree and then standing leg raise. Cristy will do the modified tree, which is a tree is basically your hips are facing forward, but you're opening your hips on one side. And so in tree, you lift that leg and it just rests on the opposite inner thigh. Okay, this is full tree. And Cristy has a kickstand tree where she has her foot resting on the mat and her heel like a kickstand against the other leg. That's a modified. So the nice thing about tree is that it's a balancing pose and you can do various things with tree. So let's do tree on the right. Okay. And once you find your focus, what we call your drishti, your balance, you just relax. You want to bring length. So you want to open your chest as you do this. You can also like play around, like grow your tree. You see it's a little bit harder. Grow your tree. You can actually grow your tree and close your eyes. And so if this is really straightforward, then the idea is to challenge yourself a little bit, challenge your equilibrium, challenge those little, what we call proprioceptors, those things in your body that if you don't use them, okay, as we get older, they actually really don't work. So what we're doing is playing with them. We're allowing them to fire. Okay, so the idea is to try to find balance and stillness, okay, but then to challenge yourself. So I'm closing my eyes right now and I'm wobbling. And then bring that foot down. We have another side, so inhale your arms up, back down to heart center. Inhale that leg up, or the foot up, should I say. One side's always different than another. And then find your stillness, and then challenge yourself by either growing, closing your eyes, or maybe you just stay where you are. Trying to bring length, trying to bring a lightness to yourself. And then bring it, foot down. One last balance pose. Find yourself in a nice, actually I want to do a nice forward fold here. Inhale those hands up. Exhale, fold forward. And then rise up. We're going to do a standing leg raise. You can modify this. You can just lift it just for a microsecond. You can just lift your knee. That's a standing leg raise right here. Flexing your foot, lifting your knee, okay? And I have my hands on my side, okay? So you can do that, or you can extend your leg. That's a standing leg raise. Cristy just has her leg raised on a block, and then she can lift her foot slowly and then put it back on the block. The idea is you start off from where you feel comfortable, what your body can do, and then you slowly build on that. If you're in full expression or any expression, bringing length, that crown of your head up, and bring that leg back down. Let's switch sides. Always find your grounding. I always like to bring length first. So always inhale up, and then I bring my hands back to my hips, and then I go to the other side. I like to raise my knee, and then I like to try to keep that height and extend my leg.
and then bringing that back down. Good. I think this is going to be the end of our standing poses. If I can inhaling those arms up, folding one last time forward.
Okay, guys. And then dropping your hands, soften your knees, and then find yourself in a tabletop. We'll do a couple more cat-cows here. Okay. And we're going to end up on our back now. But before we get to do some stretching here, we have the opportunity to do some little bit of core engagement. And so I still have stitches. Let's find ourselves on our back, everybody. So I happen to think that core is like the most important thing, period, out of everything that we do. I think all injuries are related to our lack of core. So what I'd like everybody to do is just bring your legs to 90 degrees. And if that's too much, you just lift your feet up. But I'd like to bring your feet and your feet, legs, thighs, and back all at 90 degrees. Okay. So you can stay here, or you can just keep your feet next to your hips and then come down if that's too much. So we're at 90 degrees. And then all we're going to do is extend the right leg. You're going to press your lower back into the mat. So don't hollow out. And then come back to 90 degrees, or if you need to rest, bring your feet to the mat. And then you're going to extend the other side, pressing the small of your back in. If you want more, you can lift your shoulders. Okay. And then come back. Okay. So if you want more, you can lift your shoulders, or you can just if you want more, you can bring your arms forward. My shoulders are lifted and my arms are forward. Okay. And you can stay here. Okay. And extend the right leg now. Keeping the left leg at 90 degrees, flexing the right foot. Cristy's laying back, I'm reaching forward, and then bringing that right leg back in. Okay. My feet are flexed, and then doing the left side, extending the left side. Coming back, bringing that knee back in. Do a few more of these. Extend the right leg out. Cristy has one leg rested on the mat, and then she's extending the other leg up. Come back. You guys are doing good. Keep up. Extend the left. And then come back. Catch your breath. Switch sides. So we'll do about 2 more. Go back in. Do the left. Lift up your shoulders if you're doing that. Lift a little bit more. So as we do this, as you progress, you try to do more, not less. Extend the right leg. Bringing it in. Last time here. Extend the left. Bringing it in. Hugging those knees into your chest now. Good job, everybody. Good job. And then I like rolling back and forth to give myself like a little back massage. Okay. And then if you can, okay, so really hug those knees in. Okay, it's a nice little counter stretch. Grab your toes with your peace fingers, okay, if you can do that. And maybe you can just extend one leg, or maybe you can extend 2. This is called Happy Baby. And you can either keep your knees near your elbows, or you can extend your legs, whatever feels good.
This is supposed to feel good.
Yeah, this is supposed to feel good. This is when you're a baby.
Been a long time.
Okay, bring your knees in. This one is for sure feels good. Okay, this is like one of my favorite poses. You're gonna bring your feet next to your bottom, and then bring the block under your hips. I love this one. Okay, and then you're gonna bring your feet up towards the ceiling. Okay, this is great. This is called waterfall. So my lower back is supported with a block. My arms are by my side. My palms are, our dog is licking on but my palms are down on facing the mat, and I'm extending my heels up, and I'm letting all that blood drain from my legs. This is what I actually, when I see a lot of patients, people that are on their legs a lot, because what happens over time is our veins dilate, and then there's valves in our veins, and they start getting leaky. And so then people can sort of get a little bit of swelling. And I always tell them, you gotta elevate your legs. And they say, well, I elevate my legs. And then I ask them to do it, but they're not really elevating your legs. You gotta elevate your legs above the level of your heart. So this is what I show them. I said, this is what you need to do. And so I said, do that for 10 minutes, 3 times a day. So staring at your toes, staring at your feet. So this should be restorative. And then slowly bring those legs down. And then lose the block. Everybody, let's lose that block. Great. Okay, now our feet are next to our bottom. Our palms are facing the mat, and our arms are beside us. Okay, and we're going to lift our left leg and cross it over, make a figure 4.
Pigeon.
Yes, a reclined pigeon. So this is meant to open up your hips, and this is sort of a gentle way to do it. So you can just stay here, and then maybe push that knee out, or if you want a little bit more, then you actually bring that right foot closer into your chest using your left knee as leverage. So I'm holding on to my left knee, and I'm bringing that foot in while I'm pushing my right knee outward. So my right knee is going up, my right foot's coming in. So this is a reclined pigeon. And you're supposed to breathe into it. Again, our hips, we have terrible posture in our shoulders and our hips. Those two, what we call girdles, the shoulder girdle, hip girdle. Everything tends to be rotated inward, and this is our opportunity to open everything up. Try to rest your lower back on the mat and your hips on the mat as you're doing this. So you're trying to keep those hips stationary, and you're just trying to use your legs to open everything up. And then release. Bringing that right foot back down on the mat. Now crossing the right foot over the left foot over the right thigh. You'll notice usually one side is much different than the other. You can either stay here, they both hurt. This is my tight side. And this is meant to be restorative, so it's not meant to hurt. And so I constantly find that my back tends to float towards the hip I'm trying to open, and I got to remind myself to put that back, put that weight back on, and then open your hips. Good, and then release. We have time for this. Good. Okay. Okay. Extend your legs. I think we have time. Extend. So we're all straight now. We're in staff pose. So we're basically just laying on the mat. We're going to. Why don't we do this? Why don't we shift our weight to the right side of our mat? Okay. So you're going to shift your hips to the right edge of your mat because we're going to use the rest of the mat. We're going to put our hands above our head, and we're going to cradle our head by grabbing our opposite hand, opposite elbows. So I'm cradling my head by grabbing my elbows. Okay. I'm going to lift my shoulders and I'm going to plant them towards the left. Okay. And then I'm going to lift my left leg and bring it to the outer left corner of the mat. And I'm going to bring my right leg towards it. So I'm like in a banana pose. So it's a big stretching. And if you want, you can cross your legs. So you can cross that if you want a little bit more.
Right.
You just got to be able to undo yourself. So in these stretch poses, they say it's good to do it about 5 or 6 breaths, which is usually about 30 seconds. And then that allows your body to sort of slowly release and allow itself to reap all the benefits. So slowly unwind, lifting your shoulders, bringing them back to a neutral position, and then bring your legs back to neutral position. And then shifting your weight, you're just shifting to the other side of your mat, cradling your head, lifting your shoulders, planting them near the right corner, bringing the right leg towards the right edge of the mat, and then bringing the left leg in. You're the shape of a banana. Good. Slowly release. Coming back to neutral. Come to the center of your mat. And then reach up above your head. So you're just going to bring length, almost like you're stretching. Pointing your toes, pointing your fingers. Good. And then bringing those arms in, bringing those feet in, and then looking for that strap, that belt, that scarf. We're going to do some reclined spinal twists. And it's nice to use the strap. At least I find it to be really nice, because you not only get the spinal twist, but you get a nice stretch within your hip flexors, and so that's nice. So let's bring our right knee towards our chest, and let's put our belt, scarf, or strap around our right foot. And we're going to grab the strap with both our hands, and you're going to straighten that leg out, bringing that heel up towards the ceiling. Your left leg is planted on the mat. Your lower back in the mat. You're pulling your belly button in just a little bit, and then you just slowly guide that knee towards your nose. You feel a little nice stretch in your hamstrings.
Oh, a lot of stretching my hamstrings.
Now the idea is to keep your legs straight. So Chris, I can't see because I don't have my glasses, but I have. If you have tight hamstrings, you might only be at 45 degrees, and this is where you should be. So the goal is not to bring your knee up. The goal is to keep the hamstring stretched. So right now my leg's at 45 degrees, and if that's all you can do to keep those hamstrings stretched, that's all you do. If you can do a little bit more, that's what you do.
I got about
So you
85.
do. But I think I have a friend that he's about at 30 degrees, I think. And that's where he is. And I always tell him, okay, that's where you stay. And you slowly work it. So you work with what you can. Okay. Now we're going to grab the strap with our left hand, and we're going to cross that leg over. Okay. You can go ahead and extend your left leg here as you cross over. If you extend your left leg onto the mat, you can bring it over a little bit more. If you need support and you just want to do a little bit, you bring keep your foot on the mat. But I'm going to extend my leg so that I can bring that leg all the way down. So do what feels good. By having your knees up and your foot on the mat, you'll do just a little bit less. And again, the goal here is to keep the leg straight. And you slowly guide that foot towards the opposite ear.
Yeah.
And then bring that leg back to the center. Okay, straighten the leg, keep it straight. And then now, in this one, I want you to do slow. Open your hips, so you're going to bring your right leg and you're going to bring it towards the right. You're going to bring it slowly down towards the floor, using the strap as a support. And this one you have to be really gentle, because you have these little tiny hip flexors in your inner thigh, and you don't want to overdo it. And then once you're down, you can start guiding that knee towards that ear. And you'll really feel that. in those little hip flexors. And then really allow yourself to let go, let gravity do the work. We tend to hold a lot of tension. Even when we're stretching, we're like tense. Try to just relax. Using your breath to rinse everything out. And then guiding that leg back up the center. Bringing your knee towards your chest. Planting that foot, right foot onto the mat, and then bringing the left knee and putting the strap, belt, or scarf around the left foot. And we have the opportunity to do the same thing on the left side. We begin by keeping that leg straight and then guiding that knee towards your nose. Again, you want to take about 5 breaths here. And then you can begin to slowly grabbing that strap with the left hand, crossing it over, keeping your knee up. If you just want to just do a little small minor stretch, or bringing that right leg all the way down and then crossing that leg all the way over. And then slowly coming back up the center. And then opening the hips, opening that leg. Go again, very slowly. This one, I think you got to go slow. Slowly opening up, slowly letting that leg hang, slowly straightening out that leg. And then when everything's set, then gently tug on that foot and bring it towards your ear. And just take a few more breaths here. And then slowly bringing that leg back up the center. Bringing both knees into your chest. Okay. Then extending out everything. Just let it all melt in the mat. The most important pose in all of our practice is the restorative pose. The pose of gratitude, openness, humility. Shavasana, the pose of possibilities. Close your eyes. Bring a gratitude towards yourself for making the effort to care about yourself, to care about your body, to be open, to connect with people that you are in different states, different places. We have a tendency just to stay inward with our bodies and our minds and our beliefs. Allow yourself to be open. Even if it's uncomfortable, it usually leads to something special. And then with your eyes closed, as still as you can, slowly find yourself in a seated position. Some of you may rock to the right. And you want to be in a comfortable seated position, so you might want to find your mat. I like keeping my eyes closed throughout this whole process. And then bringing your hands to heart center. And the light in me honors the light in each one of you, the specialness in each one of you. And every time I do this practice, like beforehand, I'm going, okay, here I go. Like there's always so much to do, and I'm always so thankful afterwards. It's like a good major pause. It's like taking a really big pause, and that's nice. So I thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.